Okay, this microphone's a bit too close to my face. Anyway, sup dudes, I'm the 3-Silent Hero, and welcome back to another Minecraft modding tutorial where I've put a bunch of stuff in here. Worth noting about, I got the register item wall, I got the register lines. I also have declared them. Now, the one thing you'll notice is that to declare the variables, you use item armor rather than item. I have declared them as item in mods in the past, and it hasn't negatively affected it. However, Vanilla Code has it as item armor, and there's probably a reason for that, so I wouldn't risk it in case there is something that I just wasn't able to cover in my testing that does that. Anyway, as well, in the resources, I got the item models in here. We got it's the boots, chest plate, the helmet, and the leggings. We also got their textures down here because that's what you do. So now we just need to define how to create armors. Well, first things first, it's actually kind of similar to making custom tools, as in we're going to create something like this. Public static class mod armor materials. It uses armor materials. So we're going to create a public static final armor material. We're going to call it silver. And we're going to make it equal to enum helper dot add armor material. And well, there are a few values here, so let's go over them. We got the name value, which we're going to set to, naturally, silver. The texture name, well, it's basically just, you want to put in your mod ID, followed by a colon, followed by the name of the texture. We're just going to call this one silver armor. Meanwhile, in here, we need a durability, and then we need a reduction amounts, which I do have in a different mod, so we're just going to go in there and copy that like we did with the, don't ask what the mod horse armor thing is. That's a future tutorial. That's a little bit complicated, but also not that complicated. Yeah, I got a few, yeah. You can add horse armors, apparently, with mods. That took me, I didn't know that, but apparently you can do that. So, apparently, these are the other values that I picked for, my silver armor, so we're just going to grab those from there, and we're going to go in here. We're going to replace all those with this. Now, we're going to talk about these values a little bit. This, of course, is a durability factor. Basically, what it does is it multiplies specific values. We need to add the import for that, apparently. This multiplies specific values for each set of armor to give it a unique durability. Does that with everything. Trust me on that. Now, new int, this is an array. It's an array of 4 int values, and basically these are the reduction amounts. It goes from boots to boots, leggings, chest plate, and helmet. This is the enchantability value, which is the same for silver, because for silver tools, because I just felt like doing it simple. Sound of stat item armor equipped gold. There's a few examples. We're just gonna go over them. So we got. Well, there's quite a few sound effects. You can make it sound like an ambient cave when you place it, when you put on the armor. It'd be kind of weird, but you can do that. But there's a few. There's item armor equip. I think that's a typo. It's kind of a funny typo, but that's still a typo. And you got one for each type of armor, as well as one that's generic. I don't know what that one is. But since silver is kind of similar to gold, we're using the gold one. And then this is armor toughness. Now, this value is 0 for all vanilla materials except diamond, which is 2. So I'm not entirely sure what it does, but I think higher values mean tougher armor. Probably. That's just a guess. But anyway, now we have this. Now this does create an interesting thing, because we're going to need to create some more stuff in the textures. So we're going to need to create a new Java package, and I believe it's called models.armor. armor. I believe that's what this one will have to be called. Gonna have to, that's my recording software. I'm gonna have to check in here just to make sure. Textures.models.armor, and then you got all the default stuff in here. Now, as you can see, these are the name of the armor texture followed by underscore layer underscore 1 or underscore 2. Now, layer 1 is, well, we'll see in a bit. Layer 1 is used for the helmet, armor, chest plate, that sort of thing. Now, so, since it's using that underscore layer, so I'm just going to put silver there. That should make this a little bit less annoying. But anyway, we're actually going to minimize this. We're going to go into this mods folder because that was me having a bit of fun with testing horse armor. Trust me. Now, it appears that I, being an idiot, didn't actually grab those from in here. So we're going to have some fun. Ooh, this is nice. Yeah, and I had some weird names for them for some reason. Anyway, Control C. We're going to have to rename them to what? I'm going to be using them in the mod. Yeah, and we got them there. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to highlight both of these. We want to copy them again. And we're going to go into, I believe, this one. Source, main, resources, assets, tutorial, textures, models, armor. And then we put them in there. So now if we go in here, this is yellow, indicating they're both in here. Alright. Now, they're based on the player model, just so you know. So, just thought I'd let you know that that's how they work. They're based on the player model. That's all I'm saying here. So now we need to initialize each item, but first, like we had custom classes for each of these, we need to make custom classes for the armors. So, we're going to close up this resources folder. Actually, I'm going to make this window a little bit bigger. I normally minimize it when I have to have this open in split screen mode. Anyway, we're going to go in here. We're going to create a new, we're going to, not a JSON file. I accidentally misclicked there. Okay, new Java class. And we're going to call this one mod armor. You can actually use a single class for all 4 pieces of armor, just so you know. And this one we need to extend item armor. Now, we do need a constructor. We're going to just add the constructor and clear up the white space issues that have showed up, and also rename all these materials because seriously, I hate this format for it's just confusing. This way I can tell you what each of them does. And it would make sense. So the first one is obviously the armor material. Why does that always happen when I highlight it in here? Anyway, you get the material. And there's 2 other values that you can see here. We got render layer and type. Now, material, that's obvious what that does. Render layer, now you saw that thing had layer 1 and layer 2 existing. Now that basically tells it which of those to use. So that it can be like layer 1 or layer 2. Or layer 3 if you're screwing with that sort of thing. I don't know. It also does some funky code stuff to make it seem larger or smaller depending on the layer. But that's a bit of stuff that you don't need to know for modding. And then, ooh man, sorry about that. Empty equipment slot type. Now, this can be one of, now there are 6 variables that apply to the player. There's main hand, offhand, head, chest, legs, and feet. Naturally, main hand and offhand don't really get used for armor types. However, you can use this for armor types: the head, chest, layer, legs, and feet. This tells you if it's a helmet, or a chest plate, or leggings, or boots. So, that's literally this class done. You could call mod armor, but I prefer to create a custom class for this in case you want to add some custom code, because there is a method called onArmorTick, which allows you to add some custom code that executes on every tick with the armor. But anyway, we're just going to initialize all this. So we got the silver helmet first, and we're going to create it to equal to new mod armor. We're going to call mod armor materials dot silver. Naturally, we're going to put in 1 because that's the render layer you use for helmet. We're going to call, my brain just froze for a second, entity equipment slot dot, and here you see your options. You also got a from string thing for some reason. I'm not entirely sure what it does, but I guess it does is useful. Now, entity equipment slot, I believe, is and there's a type thing which is an enum. That's interesting. Anyway, here we go. This one uses head. Now, we can call our dot armor type. Yeah. So those values exist. And you see it's got all of these. You can see the render indexes is there. There's the toughness right there. But anyway, we don't care about this right now. We have our set. Now, there's a set color thing. I think that's used for leather armor, for like when you dye it. Set container item, again, we don't need to use that. Set creative tab we don't need to call because the item armor class already calls set creative tab for combat. Set damage is a void method. I think it's to do with item stacks. Yes, it's to do with item stacks. It's passing one of those as a string. Set harvest level. No idea where we need to set a harvest level to do with armor, so we're not going to screw with that. Set has subtypes. Set max damage we don't need to screw with. Set max stack size we'll already set to 1. So all we really care about is setting the registry name and the unlocalized name. So, registry name is, of course, silver helmet. And then we need the unlocalized name, which we're going to call helmet silver. Now, this creates a bit of a problem. But you just click on this and click the error, and it should fix itself there. Basically, what this is saying is that basically, I think I talked about casting. If not, hopefully you know about that and you've found it out somewhere. But basically what it is that both of these methods, what they do is they return an item variable. Silver helmet, of course, wants to be an item armor variable. Of course, we initialize this using an item armor class, so we should be able to tell it, please be an item armor variable without it getting annoyed at us. Naturally, you have to tell it that it's supposed to try and become an item armor variable. So that's what that little bit there means. So we need to replicate this for every other piece of armor you've got. By the way, you don't use the item armor class for Elytra. That's something completely different. It's still, the render index is still 1 for chest plate. The only one that uses 2 is leggings. So we're just going to type these out. Yeah, this is kind of the bit where when you're making a big mod with lots of items, this part tends to get kind of tedious. I'm going to be honest. Just creating a whole pile of items. So, yeah, just get used to creating a lot of items. Just get used to typing this out. It kind of becomes second nature, though, so kind of becomes something that you're used to doing, so that's a good thing, I suppose. Oh, by the way, I just want to mention something. Yesterday I watched the movie Ready Player One. It's based on a book, so I got the book today because I'm like, okay, I like the movie. I'm gonna go read the book. Of course, I enjoyed the movie, though. Of course, I mean, it's directed by Steven Spielberg. I mean, he has a perfect record. And before anyone brings up Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, no, that movie does not actually exist. Someone got triggered in the comments. Anyway, so we're just about done here. Typing out my code for these guys. Now, I believe that if we're done this, this should be everything. I think we can actually run the game and it will work. I believe that's about all we need to do. We needed to create the armor material, create the armor. That's about the only stuff that required me to show you some unique stuff. Now you can actually create separate classes for each type of armor. So it's like you only need to pass the armor material into the constructor, but that requires more classes. So if you're creating a lot of armor, maybe that would work. But if you're not creating much armor, don't bother. Okay, so we're going in here. Yeah, we still got all the tools. And man, I love this. Anyway, if we go into combat, we should scroll down and see that I forgot to name them. That's typical. I go through this, get everything right, but forget to name them. Ah, well. You know how to do that. Should work fine. But anyway, if I go to F5 mode, I am wearing silver armor. And it's all fine. All fine and dandy. Of course, there's a slight problem. Say, for example, we can use the /give command. Apparently, player 2... Holy cow, that did not mean to do that. We don't use Minecraft. We use tutorial silver. Let's go with helmet, and we're going to go for one of them, and we're going to give it a damage value of 23. It's just got a little bit of durability down. That's nice. That's just a thing that happens. I'm going to fix the name, don't worry. So we go in here, we get our silver ingot, and we can repair it, right? Of course, it doesn't automatically do that for you. You kind of have to do that. Now, there used to be a way to internally code that, but I noticed something. I'm gonna exit the output. But I noticed something you can do with armor materials. We're just gonna and tool materials. I'm just gonna check to see if that's the case. See if that actually works. Mod tool materials dot silver dot. There's something here which isn't it. There it is. That's not in the vanilla code, which is interesting. That's not actually in the vanilla code, as in Minecraft Forge did some slight editing of the files to get that, which is interesting. So let's set repair item. Now I'm going to introduce you to... Now, you don't have to understand what on earth I'm doing right here. Hopefully, I hope this is what I'm intending to do. We're just going to... Otherwise, I'll show you the... This is an experiment, okay. Otherwise, I'll show you the... Yeah, you can do it with this one, too. I'll teach you more about item stacks in a little bit. Actually, since crafting's been changed, I actually can't teach about crafting the way I would want to. Okay, fine. You see, item stacks are how the game actually stores items. See, each of these item classes is the same. Item stacks exist in the real world. It contains a few values. It contains a metadata value. It contains NBT data, an NDBT object. It contains the item object, and it contains the count, which can be anywhere from 1 to the max stack size of the item it's holding. So when you're holding items in your inventory, you're not directly holding the item. You're actually holding the item stack that contains the item. Just a thing I'd like to tell you. And also, technically, the player entity player object contains an inventory object, which contains a bunch of item stack objects, which contain the item objects themselves. If you want to get really technical with this. Okay, maybe that worked. I'm going to test that now. Apparently I got rid of the items that we were using for this. Also, I forgot to... fix the names of them. Right. Well. And, okay, that does work. Right. Okay. Wasn't sure if that was going to work, but it does. I guess the next tutorial to go over is, be good to... Oh, that just happened. What would be a good tutorial to go over? I'm just going to set this back to grass. That's a good tutorial to go over. I guess next would have to be crafting. Crafting or world generation. One of the two. Crafting and smelting can be a tutorial, or I can do world generation. Now, crafting, I have to look up a bit of stuff on my own. I actually haven't done 1.12 crafting yet. The last time I did modding and actually put crafting recipes together was in 1.11, which doesn't actually have the I'm gonna have to update myself on how to do the new crafting system. So, yeah, we're just gonna fix this. Now, one thing you gotta note with grading armor is that you don't accidentally create something too overpowered. Now, 100% armor protection, by the way, is 25 total armor points put together. The armor bar can only hold 20, can only display 20, but 25 can exist, and you take no damage when you have 25 armor points. Yeah. You can create armor that's completely overpowered. 25 armor points with, like, 10 armor toughness with, like... Oh, by the way, just create, yeah, who am I kidding? Just create, 25... If you really want something overpowered, just create, armor that gives you 25 protection points, as well as has infinite durability. You just literally can't die from, damage that does interact with armor. There is damage that don't interact with armor, like direct fire damage. No, I think fire damage does interact with armor. Anyway, yeah. But here's the thing, though. You want to do this with you want to do this after you've already initialized the silver ingot, and because otherwise, that's going to give you a null pointer exception. Just pointing that out. But apparently that's a thing that works. Wasn't expecting that. Okay, so, that should be... Shut up, phone. That should be everything. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, please be sure to hit the like button, share it if you really liked it, and subscribe for daily content, and be sure to have a lovely day. Bye-bye.